Hello, everybody. My name's Rick McCutcheon. I'm a Dynamics 365 MVP, and I'm here today with Brion Reusche from Microsoft. Brion, tell the people who you are and what you do.
Wow. Okay. Let's go ahead and start with the fact that I really appreciate you taking the time and the partners taking the time to go ahead and listen to me wax poetic about some commerce stuff. So my name's Brion. I live in Denver, Colorado. I'm what's called the worldwide workload lead for Dynamics 365 for Commerce. So I've had a long history in both the partner channel as well as here at Microsoft. And this new role that I've taken is really overseeing a lot of the go-to-market strategy for Dynamics 365 for Commerce in particular. And I got to say, I am just over the top today. It's a beautiful sunny day in Denver, Colorado. I've got a lot of exciting things on the commerce front, so happy to talk.
So, Brion, why don't we start with talking about exactly what is D365 Commerce?
Yeah, great question. So D365 Commerce is, of course, part of our core business applications portfolio. If I were to look at it in terms of big blocks or big chunks of capability, D365 Commerce supports all of the customer-facing interactions that a retailer, a distributor, a consumer goods company might have as they interact on a day-to-day basis with their customers. Now, that's a lot of high-minded stuff. When we get down into the three-letter acronyms, if you want to call it that most, companies think of, this is your POS, this is your PIM, this is your CMS, your digital asset manager, your DAM, your MMS, if you're a merchandiser or retailer, and then your OMS, which is, kind of the order management capabilities that you see in Dynamics.
So, and I'm glad Microsoft is finally, really getting into this space, because I was at the retail show in New York, probably around 2016, and it was my first sort of, glimpse into retail systems, and I couldn't believe how siloed they were and how many separate systems these retailers need to work with. And when I see, what's happening with Dynamics and Power Platform, I can see the future of what Microsoft's going to, drive into this marketplace is really going to be an advantage for these customers.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so funny that you talk about NRF. NRF is, I always colloquially call it the second most wonderful time of the year, because I've been in retail my whole life, and literally I go to New York and it's where I draw my energy from. But you're 100% right. Dynamics 365 for Commerce, we used to be mostly applicable only to retailers. And that was certainly one of our biggest driving events. And when we could go out onto the show floor, the 40,000 people that are there at the show floor talking about retail technologies, we could show them a solution that was end-to-end on a Microsoft platform with Azure scalability, and their minds were kind of blown, because they've traditionally walked the floor for 4 days talking to vendor after vendor after vendor that solves for point solutions but does not have the whole package.
And we all know the conversation around connecting applications. Everybody says, yes, it can be done. But the effort and the quality of what can be done was always a challenge. So yeah. There's going to be a lot of partners, because Microsoft's really pushing D365 Commerce. So how can partners get involved with this product?
Gosh, that's just such a great question. So, it's an interesting place where D365 Commerce has been and where we're going to. Like I mentioned earlier when I was talking about NRF, D365 Commerce is an evolution, an addition, and additional capabilities on top of what used to be termed D365 for retail. Obviously, the name belies the industry. We really only had retail applicability, but now with D365 Commerce, we've got a much, much broader footprint. And when I think about that in terms of partners, traditionally we've had a fairly limited number of partners who have chosen to verticalize their business on the retail industry. Just a matter of market, right? And we've had a lot of partners that have been out there in the world that have been selling successfully our finance and supply chain and our customer engagement platforms. And now that we have broadened that application footprint to a way to make it more industry applicable, we need to enable partners. So I'm just going to one more point, and is that we've actually, put a lot of thought into this, right? How do we enable at scale? Because we've had thousands and thousands of partners who never thought about retail in their lives. And now all of a sudden they've got a new platform. So we're releasing partner playbooks. We're technically unblocking demo capabilities. We're putting a dedicated area on AppSource for commerce. And we're going to drive partner awareness in a way that will allow them to build a practice quickly.
Okay, and so if I'm a Microsoft Dynamics partner today, and I've never really, worked in the retail space, how would you suggest they get started?
Great question. First off, I really, retail is certainly going to continue to be a core industry capability and a core industry that Microsoft Commerce focuses on, because we've got all the capability and it's a compelling value proposition for all those people that are NRF. But the idea that the partner can go out, they can download assets for what a commerce practice should look like from a resource perspective. They can download assets about what the typical project implementations should look like, the tasks associated with successfully setting up and deploying a commerce solution. I think those are all super compelling. We'll go ahead and provide you guys links, and we'll be actually releasing a lot of additional content at MBAS for that. And we also are driving go-to-market playbooks. I'm a corporate guy at this point, so I think a lot in terms of GTM and scalability worldwide. We have things like the Commerce in a Day, basically sales motion that we can run with partners. That'll allow them to go ahead and stand up a demo site that is skinned for their customer, either with the customer side by side or in a accelerated fashion for them to execute those custom demonstrations.
Okay, fantastic. So, Brian, there's lots of changes in the D365 space today. And, I see commerce evolving very quickly. What sort of excites you about what's coming, now and in the future?
Well, geez, I think let's talk a little bit about the industry trends, right? I mean, COVID's been a terrible thing. There's no doubt about it. It's affected people fundamentally, and it's really accelerated digital transformation. And if you look at, where digital, basically e-commerce sales were growing 1% year over year for effectively the last 20 years, they grew 1% per month over the course of COVID. So our market has increased pretty dramatically for customers that are out there looking for those solutions. The other thing I'd say is that that's not limited to the retail space. You're seeing fundamental shifts about distributors and manufacturers, consumer packaged goods companies, healthcare, life sciences industries, where they want to have a more digitally oriented conversation with their customer. So that's on the industry side. On the product side, on the technical side, we probably, partners that are in the know or probably have seen some of the quote unquote B2B capabilities that we've just released with Dynamics Commerce. It's hard for me to understate, it's hard for me to overstate, sorry, just what a game changer that is for us. Because, if you think about finance and supply chain customer as an example, this is somebody who can take all of the investment that they've already put into configuring their finance and supply chain solutions. They do a little bit of additional configuration, they stand up a website, and there's no more integration to worry about.
So, we're going to see tremendous growth, I think, continue on, because the changes in the consumer changes in sort of B2B buying and selling. The sales process over the last 18 months on the B2B side has really gone digital. So you're right. We're going to see more of the core distributors, core manufacturers really say, okay, we've got to have our offerings out there and be able to interact with customers.
Yeah, and this also really feeds into the entire customer engagement narrative as well. We've got the concept of, an unknown customer coming to a website, perusing, looking around at some products and the like, and we now have D365 sales integration, right? So I want to go ahead and take that unknown customer, drop it in as a lead that could be followed up on. And I can actually go ahead and segment and potentially identify that customer using additional Microsoft technologies. Now you're taking somebody who's just on a website looking around, putting it in the hands of a very capable salesperson to go interact, follow up with them, and then at the end of the day, drive down costs because that salesperson doesn't need to place the order anymore. They can now drive that customer to the digital engagement and the website so that they can go do additional value-added activities and drive, incremental sales.
And from a CRM side, which is my business, we can take that data and push it to a partner portal, push it to a vendor portal, push it anywhere we want once we have that good data in the system. So, opportunity-wise, I think this is giving retail clients in particular information that could go to their POS system, could go into their loyalty systems. So, this is new for them because from what I've seen, a lot of that is very siloed in these organizations.
Yeah, there's also a lot of capability here that I'm going to call it a-traditional ways of thinking about using our quote unquote retail solutions, right? As an example, we have dozens of customers worldwide that are actually using our point of sale solution for trade floor sales shows, right? So having a tablet-based order mechanism for the people that are in a B2B business to be out on the trade show floor, actually placing orders, capturing contact information. Those Javits Center NRFs don't exactly have great Wi-Fi, so being able to do that in an offline capability, it's additional B2B functions that actually are synergistic with the retail functions that we've been known for a decade.
Okay, Brian, it's been a pleasure talking to you about D365 Commerce, and we'll be back to you soon to talk more about what's new and what's coming in the new Microsoft year.
Yep. Thanks so much for your time, Rick, and love to talk to partners. So if anybody wants to reach out to me, feel free.
Thanks, Brian.